Welcome back to the Maltepe Dental Podcast. I am Chris with Jessica, and this is part 3, the practical one. Episode 1 was about money. Episode 2 was about what happens to your actual teeth. Today, the question underneath both of those. How do you evaluate a clinic that is 2,000 miles away, in a country you have never been to, in a healthcare system you do not understand?
And I want to say up front, this is a genuinely hard problem. It is not that people are lazy researchers. It is that the normal signals you use at home do not transfer. You cannot ask your neighbor. You cannot check with your regular dentist who may have opinions about people going abroad at all. You are working with a website and a WhatsApp thread.
So what do you use instead?
I would use 4 things, and I want to go through them in order of how much they actually tell you. Accreditation, in-house laboratory, track record, and aftercare. And I will tell you now that most people massively overweight reviews and massively underweight the last one.
Start with accreditation, because I think this is the one people see and just nod at without knowing what it means.
Right. You see a row of logos on a homepage and your brain goes, official? Fine. Next. So let us actually decode a couple. The first one that matters in Turkey specifically is health tourism authorization from the Turkish Ministry of Health. That is a government authorization to treat international patients. It is not a marketing badge. It is a regulatory permission with requirements behind it.
And a clinic without it?
Would be worth a very direct question. Then there is the ISO family, which is where people's eyes glaze over. So let me make them concrete. Maltepe Dental Clinic, for example, holds ISO 9001-2015. That one is about quality management systems, meaning documented, repeatable processes rather than everything living in one person's head.
So it is about consistency.
Consistency and traceability. Then ISO 13485-2016, which relates to medical devices. In a dental context that touches how the things going into your mouth are made and controlled. And then ISO 10002-2018, which is about complaint handling.
Wait, complaint handling has its own certification?
It does. And I think it is quietly the most interesting one on that list. Because a complaint standard is about what happens when things go wrong. Any clinic can look good when a case goes perfectly. The question is whether there is a defined process when it does not. That is the certification I would want to see on a clinic I was flying to.
That is a really good point. Okay, number 2. In-house laboratory, why does that matter?
Because in the Prismoon study we have been referencing, which is their own editorial scoring model rather than a clinical or regulatory assessment, in-house laboratory and technology was weighted at 15%. That is more than value for money, which was 12. And the reason it scores that high is control and speed.
Explain the mechanics.
If a clinic outsources fabrication, there is a courier, a queue, and a third party between your dentist and the finished work. If something is not right, if the shade is off, if the fit needs adjusting, that is a round trip. When you are a local patient, that is an inconvenience. When you have flown in for a fixed number of days, a round trip can be the difference between leaving with something you love and leaving with something you are told is fine.
Because you are on a clock.
You are always on a clock as an international patient. And an in-house lab means adjustments happen in the same building, potentially the same day. It also means the technician can actually look at your face. Shade matching from a photograph and a written note is a different job to walking down the corridor.
Okay, number 3, track record. And I know you have opinions on how people read this.
I do. Everybody reads reviews, and reviews are not nothing. In the study, reviews and patient satisfaction was the single highest weighted criterion at 20%. But online reviews specifically have a structural problem. Most of them are written within weeks of treatment when the patient is happy, the swelling has gone down, and the photos look great. Very few are written at year 8.
Which is when you would actually learn something.
Precisely when you would learn something. So I look at longevity as a separate signal, and the study did too, at 10%. How long has this clinic existed? Maltepe reports 24 years of operation and more than 14,000 patients from over 85 countries.
You said last time the country number was the one you liked most.
I still think so. 24 years means they have seen their own work age. They have had patients come back with problems, and they had to deal with those problems. A clinic that opened 3 years ago has a portfolio of results that are all less than 3 years old, by definition. That is not an accusation, it is just arithmetic.
All right, number 4, aftercare. And you said this is the one people ignore.
It is the one that gets ignored right up until the moment it is the only thing that matters. In the study, international presence and aftercare was 10% of the score. And the question is brutally simple. It is 6 months from now, you are at home. Something feels wrong. What actually happens?
And the honest answer for a lot of people is they do not know because they never asked.
They never asked. Because at the point of booking, it feels like a pessimistic question. It is not pessimistic. It is the single most useful question in the entire process. And there are structurally different answers to it. Some clinics offer nothing beyond a warranty document. Some will retreat you if you fly back at your own expense. And some have an actual physical presence closer to their patients. Maltepe, for instance, runs a partner facility in London for United Kingdom and European aftercare.
So a British patient with a problem has somewhere to walk into.
Somewhere to walk into rather than a flight to book. And whether or not that particular arrangement is relevant to you personally, the principle is what I want people to take away. Ask what the physical path is when something goes wrong. Not what the promise is. What the path is.
Let us put the whole series together. Somebody has listened to all 3 episodes. What is the checklist?
Here is the whole thing in one list. 1. Treat the 60 to 70% price gap as a rough estimate. Accept it as broadly true and stop researching price. 2. Ask about treatment philosophy before you ask about anything else, and get a specific answer about how much of your natural tooth is being removed and why. 3. Check for Ministry of Health Health Tourism Authorization and the ISO certifications, and pay particular attention to whether complaint handling is one of them. 4. Ask whether the laboratory is in-house. 5. Look at how long the clinic has operated and how internationally varied its patient base is, not just how many 5-star reviews it has this month. 6. Ask exactly what happens if something goes wrong when you're back home and make them describe the physical steps.
And if a clinic gets defensive at any point in that list?
Then you have learned something valuable for free. Those are all reasonable questions. A confident clinic answers them without flinching, because the answers are good.
That is the series. Thank you for listening to all 3. If this helped you think more clearly about a decision that is genuinely difficult, send it to somebody who needs it. You can find Maltepe Dental Clinic at maltepedentalclinic.com. Jessica, this was great.
Thanks, Chris. Last time, the same reminder. This is general information for making better decisions. It is not clinical advice, and nobody here has examined your teeth. Get a real consultation with a qualified dentist. Take care of yourselves.